Alright, I am back. It's been a long time since I made a video. Last time I did it, I was joined with this fellow here, Grant Long, former NBA player, 15 years in the league.
That's right.
Current Pistons commentator. Hey, off-season's been crazy. There's a lot of moves going on to shook up the NBA.
Yep.
What's your analysis on the off-season moves and what's going to happen in the 2017-18 season?
Well, I think when Paul George left Indiana to go to Oklahoma City, I thought that was the biggest thing that was going to happen over the summer. But then, not to be outdone, Kyrie Irving says, hey, I want out of Cleveland. I want out, and they obliged and moved him to Boston. I think that was the blockbuster deal of the summer, and I think everybody's anticipating the beginning of the season, particularly when everybody usually looks forward to that Christmas Day game because that's the game that the current champion, plays the team that they defeated on that Christmas Day. This year, I think this time around, everybody's excited about what's going to happen when Boston comes across the Cleveland Cavaliers with Isaiah Thomas at the helm now.
How do you think Kyrie being in Boston is going to help their chances? They're still going to be in contention, but you think him and Gordon Hayward would be the pieces to get them to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA championship?
Well, you have to think, you got to go back and say the Boston Celtics were the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference last year. They were the only team that disrupted the run that the Cavaliers were having through the playoffs when they got their victory. They were the only team to be able to do that. So with that being said, you add a guy like Kyrie Irving, you add a guy like Gordon Hayward to the mix, and I got to give a special nod to Coach Brad Stevens of the Celtics. I think he does some things that are very special and that are very unique for that Boston Celtic team that he has, and I think that's going to give them some leverage going into the season with their new guy Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. They lost some pieces now, Jay Crowder, but in place of Jay Crowder, they brought in Marcus Morris, who's another guy that's going to give you some great minutes, a very good presence on the floor. So that's the side of the Boston Celtics. Now you go with the Cavaliers. Anytime you start the season off with a healthy LeBron James, you know that you give yourself a pretty good opportunity to win. And then you add Isaiah Thomas. If he's healthy, you got to say that they're going to be right back into contention once again.
It's going to be difficult because they don't have no identity. Boston doesn't have an identity because there was the defensive core where you had guys like Avery Bradley.
Yeah.
That they lost, and Crowder.
They lost Crowder, very good defender, perimeter defender, yeah.
And now they have to kind of start because now they add more scoring.
Yeah, but you're focusing on who they lost. Think about who they still have. Al Horford. You add Gordon Hayward, and you add Kyrie Irving. Those three in themselves are very unique individuals. And then Jaylen
Brown.
Jaylen Brown is coming into his own. So you got to give him some credit. He played last year. He played well last year. You got to think with a year under his belt, with a guy like Kyrie Irving. You always talk about how the all-star caliber players, the premier players in the NBA, how they can rub off and make the other guys better. Kyrie Irving will have that effect on Jaylen.
I love the Gordon Hayward. It was perfect if you think about it. Him, Brad Stevens, they both from the Indianapolis area. Boston,
you take care of that, check that off.
And he makes a lot of people better, especially when he plays off the ball. Like, you know how he made George Hill a lot better in Utah. It's going to be interesting. I think he can figure it out to make the balance flow. But I really like the team. They're young. The best part I like about this, at first when they got Kyrie, I'm like, I'm not really feeling the trade with Danny Ainge. But if you think about it, he's low-key a genius. If you look what he did when he broke up the big three originally, he sent him off to Brooklyn.
And
he got
all of those
fortunate draft
picks,
and then you trade for Isaiah Thomas, who last pick in the NBA draft, and he was a 16-point guy in Sacramento. You bring him, he elevates to superstar status, and now you have future picks like Memphis, and they're about to go downhill. And the team is contending, but also there's a rebuild in the process, which is also great. They're not going to lose traction going into the future, and he's pretty smart about handling those. As of right now, they'll be in contention, but I don't think they can get past Cleveland.
Well, I mean, again, they were the #1 seed last year in the Eastern Conference, and I will give you this. Like I said before, when you start off with LeBron James, you have a very, 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 very above average opportunity to win just about every game that you play. Now, I've always said this about the Cavaliers. They win primarily on the heels of LeBron James. But if they're going to win and win big, if they're going to win another championship, which I think they have the talent, everybody always says, well, does LeBron have enough to win? I believe LeBron has always had enough to win. but I think it's their offense is sort of antiquated. It's very old. You think about the teams that win. You think about the San Antonio Spurs. Their ball movement and their bodies that move create a lot of offense. They don't have to work as hard. You look at the good time the Golden State Warriors are having. None of those guys ever seem like they're working hard to get their offense going. But then you go to the Cavaliers. They've got the best player in the league, but yet he seems to work extremely hard just to get his offense going. And that shouldn't be the case, particularly when you go back to last year when they had Kyrie Irving on the team. You got guys like J.R. Smith who can get their own shot. They shouldn't have to work that hard. So that goes back to my point. I think if they change how they score, how they go about getting their offense, I think they're going to be much better for it. So that's going to fall on the heels of their head coach, Tyronn Lue. And I think that's right now. I give that nod a little bit to Coach Brad Stevens, even though he's not a seasoned veteran coach like a Tyronn Lue. Until Coach Lue decides to change how he runs his offense, I think they're always going to be very good, but they could be that much better because you think about LeBron late in the season, late into a ball game, and he's had to work so hard throughout the game to score that fatigue's going to set in. Mm-hmm. It's going to set in unless you can create some easier avenues for him to score.
What about the Derrick Rose signing? Were you in favor? Because when you first broke the news, I laughed.
Well, with anything, with Derrick Rose, a former MVP of the league, if he can stay healthy, he's going to help you.
Mm-hmm. Defensively, they're kind of, they've been kind of stagnant. Crowder helps them out, but the only problem that I have with the Cavaliers is how they're going to get other people off the bench to come in. Like Kyle Korver minutes are going to be shredded. Iman Shumpert. Where's there going to be?
Well, again, a lot of what I said earlier about making the offense a little bit easier, that will translate into their reserve guys as well. You shouldn't have a guy like Iman Shumpert, who's primarily a defender, trying to create his own offense. That's just not going to bode well with the rest of the team. Kyle Korver, an outstanding shooter during the regular season, but you've got to find a way to keep him from having to create his own offense. That's just not what he does. So now you got to come up and go back to the drawing board and say, how can I get some movement offensively that will open up some easy opportunities for my guys who can shoot the basketball? Kyle Korver struggled during the playoffs. So people always talk about, oh, he's a great shooter, he's a great shooter. Great shooters are shooters that shoot when they count.
Yeah,
you know, I understand. Yeah. He had a great streak at some point. I think he had like 79 straight games of a three-point shot. I mean, that's something to marvel at. Steph Curry has never done that, but we still regard him as one of the best three-point shooters the league has ever seen. Has ever seen in its entirety. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are some of the best shooters that we've ever seen in this league, yet they've never had a streak like Kyle Korver has. So my point is, it's like, this is crazy when I say this analogy. I used to say, well, the Chrysler 300 looks like a Rolls Royce. It looks like a Bentley. Yeah, it does until a real Bentley shows up. And so Kyle Korver, no knock to him, but he looks like a great shooter until you put him against another great shooter who does it consistently, like a Klay Thompson or a Steph Curry. He's a great shooter until those guys show up.
Right.
And then he gets put on blast. It's like, wow, Kyle can't do that. He can't do this. He can't do that. Well, I guess he's not as a great a shooter as we thought he was.
This conversation is going to lead to the end part of it. All right, what about another crazy move, the Chris Paul going to Houston?
Hey, listen, LeBron started it. He started saying, listen, I want to team up with some guys that are going to give me my best opportunity to win. Kevin Durant followed, and he goes to Golden State. Right away, it pays huge dividends on a team that won 73 games the year before. And you get a Kevin Durant, boy, your chances to win goes through the roof. And that's exactly what happened. They go out and they win the World Championship with the Golden State Warriors. So now everybody's looking at that. Hey, LeBron did it. KD did it. I mean, these are two of the best guys to play, right? They're the cream of the crop in the NBA. So the other guys are saying, hey, you know what? If these guys plan to do that and they plan to be in the finals back to back, we've got to do something to change how that landscape is looking right now. And that's what Chris Paul had to be thinking. He was with the Golden State Warriors for a number of years. With the Los Angeles Clippers for a number of years. They peaked. And as long as the Golden State Warriors were in their backyard, they were never going to be able to get over that hump the way they were currently constructed. So Chris Paul, the head of the snake, your point guard, he decided, I got to go somewhere else and try to make a difference with some other team, with some other players, and he chose Houston. And I don't know if that's going to make a difference. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. What do you think?
Let's jump into that. It's going to be kind of difficult for me to think because him and Harden are kind of like the same play. They both are ball dominant. They need the ball in their hands. And I don't think that neither one of them can play off ball. They had one of the historic best seasons, the Houston Rockets, offensively, and I don't think that they should have broke that mold up. I thought they should have gotten a younger wing and then have Trevor Ariza come off the bench.
Sure.
That's what my analysis on that was, but I don't like the move. I think he should have went to San Antonio, because he's more of a system guy, and I think
True.
will help him out.
I would agree with that.
And then he'll have more shooters.
But here's the question: if you send him to San Antonio, are you at this point, if you're Greg Popovich, ready to sit Tony Parker down? And I would say no. I would say no. You're not ready to set him down, and you're not ready to put Chris Paul on the bench either. So that's probably why that deal doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's probably why that doesn't work. But then you think about Houston and you think about James Harden. James Harden did play off the ball and had some success with that when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Mm-hmm. So you got a guy like Chris Paul, in my estimation, he can't play another position. James Harden can play the 1 and the 2. Chris Paul can only play the 1, or if he's going to only be highly effective at the 1, I should say. So you think that he's going to primarily play that position. James Harden will be off the ball at some point during the game. Yeah, you want him to run the offense at some point because he's very good at it, James Harden. But for the most part, if you're going to get the best value out of Chris Paul, you got to put the ball in his hands.
Yeah. Not like the move is okay. There's a pros and his cons. The pros of it is, he has more assets that he could use.
Right.
Like he has an athletic guy, a big man, in Clint Capella,
True.
which I think he will benefit the most out of this move. Then you have a shooter like Ryan Anderson, if he can stay healthy.
And you've also got Gordon.
Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon's who can shoot the ball. And here's the thing about that. You have to take into account when you're playing for Mike D'Antoni, the way that they get up and down the floor. Not going to be a whole lot of half-court sets that are going to be run. So whoever can get the ball, whether it's James, whether it's Chris Paul, either one of those guys can take the ball and go and get up a shot. Mike D'Antoni wants to get a shot sometime before 17 seconds on the shot clock. So it's not going to be a whole lot of half-court offense run where you have to put the ball in Chris Paul's hands. They're going to run that thing up there and get some shots up as quickly as possible.
It's going to be entertaining.
Yes.
But I don't know about their outcome.
I think they win. I think they win, and I think they win big. But still looming in the Western Conference is going to always be the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. Right. They're going to always be there.
Here's an interesting team that hasn't made the playoffs in Lord knows how long. The Minnesota Timberwolves. I love Karl Anthony Towns. I love Andrew Wiggins. They brought in Jeff Teague and Jimmy Butler. How do you think that will fare out for them?
I think that's going to work very well for them. And when you think about, when you talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves, let's talk about the Western Conference. They're top heavy with San Antonio, Golden State, Houston. You got to keep the Clippers in there. That's 5. Only 8 teams make the playoffs. So if you put Minnesota in there, you got the Lakers who are rebuilding, who think that they have a chance to possibly make the playoffs. Okay, that's 5. You go. Let's put Portland in there. So that's 6. So you got 2 spots. Portland's going to be in the playoffs. Golden State's going to be there. Houston's going to be there. The Clippers are going to be there. Who are we missing?
Would you put Denver in there?
No, not putting Denver in there. Denver, Minnesota, Sacramento could possibly creep in. I don't know.
What about New Orleans?
New Orleans could possibly be in there. So you got like 3-4 teams fighting for one spot.
Yeah, it's going to be like
Minnesota's fighting for that final spot. Minnesota, Sacramento Kings, Denver Nuggets. I mean, they're all fighting for that one spot in the Western Conference. That last final spot, the 8th spot for that, and then you got Dallas Mavericks. You got the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know if Minnesota gets in. It's going to be very, very difficult, man. When you think about those top-heavy teams that are definitely going to be in there.
Because I'm conflicted. I believe they'll get in. I think they'll be at least a 6 or a 7 seed.
Wow. Well, Zach Randolph is gone. He's
not
gone.
Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota now.
Yeah, so I'm saying he's gone from Memphis. So, are they still going to be a shoo-in to get into the playoffs?
No.
I like their coach. I like Fitz over in Memphis. Dave Yeager in Sacramento with his former player, Zach Randolph.
I like the blend of veterans and the young guys.
I just don't know, man. I don't know how it's going to bode for Minnesota.
We're gonna revisit this.
Okay.
Let's move over east. East lost a lot of firepower.
They did.
It's gonna be the Cavs and the Celtics. Raptors will be up there.
Raptors are always going to be in consideration. That's easy though. Who do you think has fallen off is the question. You have to think.
Indiana.
Yeah, you have to think with Indiana, with Paul George leaving, that they've fallen off tremendously.
I didn't see any teams really improve. Washington disappointed me. I thought they would make some moves, some small.
I thought Washington was decent. I thought Washington made some headway. They gave a great effort in that series that they had with the Celtics. That could have went either way.
They lost their key guy at the bench, Bogdanovic.
Yeah, they lost him, but I think they'll be right back.
They'll be in there.
They'll be right back. They were, at some point third in the East during the season. So I think Washington will be back.
They'll be a 4th or 5 seed.
I think Jason Kidd and the Milwaukee Bucks, they're going to improve simply because everything that they had, they were right in the thick of things. But then they get their guy back.
Chris Middleton?
No. He's going to help, but Jabari Parker's coming back.
Is he out for this whole entire season?
He was out last season.
Yeah, I know he tore his ACL mid. He'll be out this year.
You're right.
Look,
they're going to be better.
I think they're going to run the East.
They're going to be better.
In the next 3 years.
Giannis,
I love
he's
his
going to
game.
be so good.
Because he improves so greatly. One thing I'm fear of him is I hope he didn't peak too soon.
No. He's got more to give you. Now the question with him is, now you've had a year under your belt where you kind of did some things that were special. This will be the year that you determine whether or not he is a perennial all-star, because now teams are going to start to gear to defend him. Now, if you can still do those things when you know that every night a team is set, or there's a defense that's set to stop what you do, yet you're still able to do it, now you've arrived as a player. So this is the year that we'll find that out from him.
If he knocked that shot down.
Right, we'll find that out this year. Now, can you read that there's going to be a double team? Can you read that they're sending a second guy when you put the ball on the floor on your dribble? Can you read that and make some things happen? If he can do those things, he's going to continue to soar upward.
Because he's a rare talent.
Yes, he's
so tall. When he first came in, I was just like, who is this guy? I know he came from Greece. I've seen some of the games that they streamed.
Right. And then they had him off the ball. Jason Kidd decided, hey, this guy's pretty good. Let's put him on. He can bring the ball up the floor.
Which is great because I love that Malcolm Brogdon kid.
Yes.
From Virginia. And he can move around and he can catch and shoot, and he's also a good defender.
Same with Middleton.
He's a premier 3-and-D guy. To me, one of the best premier 3-and-D guys in the NBA. The improvement of Thon Maker impacts his whole season.
I think so.
For the Bucks. And Mirza Teletovic got to step up.
Still very young as Thon Maker, but I think he's going to make some impact defensively. They don't need him to score a whole lot, but if he can impact defensively, he's really going to get some major minutes for Jason Kidd.
Just the length of everyone on the team. Like everyone's above 6'4" and up.
Yeah, that's what's going to pose problems.
Draft guys like DJ Wilson from Michigan is a tall.
We forgot to mention in the Western Conference, Oklahoma City.
Because we're talking about the Paul George.
But as far as the top six or seven teams in the Western Conference, you got to put them in there.
Okay, hey, let's go back to the West. All right, let's go do R1 to 8. R1 to 8. Well, obviously, it's gonna be Golden State number 1.
Golden State.
Number 2.
San Antonio.
3.
Houston.
4. I'll put Oklahoma City right here.
I'm gonna go with Oklahoma City, and then I'm going to go with Portland.
Portland 5.
No, I won't go with Portland 5. I'll go with the Pelicans at 5.
Oh, no.
I'll go with the Pelicans at 5. If they can stay healthy, DeMarcus Cousins and
if he can compose himself.
I'm going to go with them at 5, and I'll go with Portland at 6.
7.
Dallas, maybe. Dallas, Memphis.
8.
Dallas, Memphis, I don't know. And then I'll go. Minnesota may get that 8th one. They might fight with Sacramento.
We agreed to the top. Our top 5. We agreed. I think 5. No, where was that? 6. 5. No.
So we went San Antonio.
Golden State.
Not in any particular order though, but these are going to be the top teams in the West. San Antonio, Golden State, Oklahoma, Houston, Portland.
Okay, I'll throw. Portland will be in there, but I'll probably put them 7 or 8.
Pelicans.
I put Minnesota. I think they'll almost get 50 wins. I think they'll be fourth.
Who?
Minnesota.
50?
Between 47 and 51 wins.
Are you out of your mind?
I'm saying that right. I'm saying that right now.
I'm gonna make sure I
look. Okay. Hey, we're gonna. I'm
50
gonna
wins? Are you
post this.
kidding me?
I'm gonna post this. All right, we make a bet. We'll
listen,
out to eat or something.
I'm a huge Tom Thibodeau fan, but 50 wins?
I believe they can do it. Between 47 and 51 wins. I'll put them 5. Yeah, I'll put them number 5 in the West.
Man, wow, that'll be
that's gutsy.
That'll be a major improvement.
I'll put 6. I'll put the Clippers in here.
I forgot about the Clippers. You're right. Clippers.
7. I'm between. It's gonna be between Utah.
How is Utah gonna be without Gordon Hayward though?
I think it's gonna be a huge step for Dante Exum and Rodney Hood.
I can't see them. They're not ready to do that. I say Utah won't even make the playoffs.
Between
They won't make the
8.
playoffs.
Last one.
Now, can you put Dallas in there?
Nah, I don't think they're ready yet.
Dallas not ready?
I love Dennis Smith Jr., but I don't know. They'll be on the outside looking in. I don't think they'll get in. I think my last one I would have to go with Denver.
Denver not getting in.
I love Paul Millsap.
No way is Denver getting in.
Oh, come on, Jokic.
No way is Denver getting in.
Gary Harris?
No way. No way is Denver getting in. They're not ready to go from cellar to dweller. No way.
Come on, you dismissing Paul Millsap and you don't think he'll
No way. No way.
And
I like Paul Millsap, but he's not enough.
It's so
that Denver.
It was so many teams out there.
He's
not
enough.
I'll put that there.
Okay.
Hey, this is we after the season's over with.
So let's jump over to the East in that same way.
Cleveland 1, Boston 2, 3 Washington. No, 4 Toronto. No, 3 Washington, 4 Toronto. No. Yeah, I think.
You taking Washington over Toronto at 3?
No, Toronto number 3.
Okay.
Washington number 4.
Okay.
5. Milwaukee. 6. Us. Pistons.
Okay. Pistons at 6.
7. If healthy, Philadelphia. If healthy.
No way. But you say 7. You say 7 in Philadelphia.
Anybody?
No way. No way. Did you say Milwaukee?
No, Milwaukee already. I put them
Okay.
Put them in there. My last one.
Charlotte.
You know what?
You got Dwight Howard.
They'll be. No, I'll put them number 6. I move Milwaukee down.
You said
then
you got them ahead of Milwaukee?
Yeah. By a game or 2.
Okay. That might be close. It might be close. I will give you that. It could possibly be very close.
Take Philadelphia out. They'll probably almost.
Brooklyn Nets, nothing?
No.
Who'll be better, the Brooklyn Nets or New York Knicks?
Knicks. Barely.
You said they'll be barely better than the Brooklyn Nets?
They're not showing me anything.
Will they make the playoffs? No. Will they be better? How about that? Just because, even if they don't make the playoffs, will the New York Knicks be better?
Yeah.
They'll be better. And what'll make them better?
Porzingis having another year under his belt, and Herman Gomez, and
it's oddly that you did not mention Carmelo Anthony at all.
I don't think he'll be there the whole season.
What?
I don't think he'll be. Somehow, some way, I think he'll end up in Houston somehow.
Whoa, but he won't end up in Cleveland?
No. It's too much of a log jam there.
Hey, is Chicago in the Eastern Conference?
No.
Not in at all?
No.
Wow. Dwayne Wade's there.
Yeah, he might take a buyout.
Losing Jimmy Butler's too much?
Yeah. He doesn't have that status. He can't hold.
So you got Chicago with Dwayne Wade out on the outside looking in. You've got New York, Brooklyn on the outside.
Indiana
on the outside.
Indiana could possibly, but I don't know.
You got Philadelphia?
I just love what they did, and if they can stay healthy, like Embiid is a stud. If he can stay, because he's going to be under some type of restriction. I'll take them out because because they're going to be under restriction. They can't even play a full.
Right.
So I'll take them out next year. Yeah, but I'll take them out the mode. You know what?
And who gets their spot then? Because Brooklyn's out, You're putting Philly out. You're putting the Knicks out.
Orlando's out.
Orlando's out. Yeah, Orlando's definitely out. What about Miami?
Bingo. That's it.
They're in?
That's it. Yes.
Miami's in?
Yes. I think they'll carry the momentum from the
Okay.
second half of the season.
Okay, Miami's in then. So you got Boston, Cleveland, Toronto, Washington, Milwaukee, Miami.
Yep. Detroit 7.
Detroit. So now you got one spot.
And Charlotte.
For Charlotte. Okay.
Charlotte be 7. We'll be last, and we'll lose in the first.
Okay, so that's there's your 8 right there. That might do it. That might do it.
I love Charlotte. Great defensive team.
Yeah, they might do it. And they got better defensively adding Dwight Howard. They got better.
Okay, let's go to this Paul George thing. This whole situation. You want him wanted out of Indianapolis. We knew it because I'm good friends. I'm good friends with my guy who does the work for Indy Star.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say his name.
So they knew he was going.
He knew because he complains too much.
Okay. Is in your estimation, is Paul George a guy that can lead a team somewhere? Can you put your team and your hopes on his back?
He did it in Indiana,
Okay.
2012-13.
Okay.
When he was young. I would like to see how him and Westbrook bowled out. I don't think he'll stay there after this year.
So he's on loan?
Yeah.
Where's his ultimate destination?
Me and you both know.
Lakers?
Yes.
Wow, so the Lakers are on hold for another year before they get better.
I kind of see how, because you can follow the pattern, because everyone's on a one-year deal there that went to the Lakers, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They traded for Brook Lopez, who has 1 year remaining on his contract. And then
So
they
there's
have
going to be lots of money freed up when Paul George is available. Lots of money freed up when he's available. So there's something to peek at.
And the guy is Bob Kraftz. I had a mental lapse for the Indy Star. Bob Kraftz.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Okay, so with that being said, and not to mention that Paul George is from LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a site set there.
So do you build with Paul George just looking forward? Do you build with Paul George and Ball? Is that how you do it?
I wouldn't go for it.
You wouldn't?
Because I just want to see how the Brandon Ingram thing works out.
Okay.
That's the one part.
What's your take on Ball anyway? I mean, you've seen and heard enough from his dad, but have you seen enough from him to say that he is a legitimate player yet? Although he hasn't played a game yet in the NBA. I mean, but if you listen to his dad,
he's a messiah.
He's the next thing since, Jordan, Michael, and Bird all combined.
Watch, you're going to have a Brevin Knight career now. I think he'll be good, but I don't think he'll be...
He won't live up to the bill?
I don't think he'll be an upper echelon type point guard.
Have you got the shoes yet?
No, I'm not buying that.
Come on, what do you mean?
I ain't got money like you. I work at the post office.
If you had them, would you buy it?
No.
Why not? Come on.
They're off-brand Kobe's.
They do look a little bit like the Kobe. It's ironic that they did all that bragging and boasting about those shoes, and the game that he played in the Nikes, he had his best game as a pro. He was in the preseason, but he wore his shoes for 2 games, I believe. Couldn't do anything right. Played in the Kobe's, I think he had like 30 points.
I think he'll be good. He might make a few All-Star games, but I don't think he'll be like.
Is he a Rookie of the Year right now? Do you think he's the odds-on favorite?
He's between him and Markelle Fultz.
Okay.
That's going to be another thing to watch for in Philadelphia. Because I watched him in Washington. It was kind of sad to watch. DeJounte Murray and Marquise Chris were at UW the previous year, and they just were going for the NBA. So he was left by himself there, and he pretty much did everything. I was impressed by what I saw, but I don't know how that'll translate if he actually had some help.
Right, that's true.
The Philadelphia thing, the jury's still out. A lot of them are not going to play a lot, and I don't really know what to make of the team because it's like a logjam of everything. You have Okafor, which here's my knock on him. I used to swear up and down that in 2015 when he got drafted, I swear, oh man, this dude about to be the best center coming out in this draft. When I watched
his dad said that too.
And he was getting out rebounded by a dude's foot shorter. Like, man, you can't do anything.
Well, the one thing I'm gonna tell you this right now, after playing 15 years in the league and dedicating pretty much my entire life to basketball, you can never measure whether or not a guy. There's nothing to quantify it and tell you whether a guy has passion for the game or not. And people always ask, well, what does that mean? Well, if you have passion for the game, And this is kind of taking it over the top now. But I remember Pat Riley telling his team, "I'll die for this game, and I know you won't." So if Pat Riley has that mentality as a coach and general manager, imagine coming across a player with that same mentality, with the skill level. You're not going to beat him. You're not going to beat that player who is very passionate about that game. You'll have some guys with a better skill set, who could shoot the ball better, who could jump higher. But a guy that has passion for that sport, very rarely are you going to beat him. And I think that's what we can't quantify with all of these players that have these big names. They seem to play well in college. They have a few good games, but you can't measure if they have passion for it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have passion for it, you're not going to play well in a back-to-back game. You're going to play well when you got 3 nights rest, or when the perfect scenario is there for you and you can score and you can do it. You're going to look good. Everybody can do that when they have a few days rest. But are you an all-star caliber player on a back-to-back game? Are you an all-star caliber player on your 4th game in 5 nights? Kobe is.
Yeah.
Michael was. LeBron is. Steph is. KD is. Russell Westbrook is. But those are some very unique individuals. That's why everybody else can't do that, because those guys are special even on their 4th game in 5 nights.
Yeah. And tie that back to Okafor. I think he just wanted a change of scenery. He didn't want to be in Philadelphia in the first place.
And see, to me, that's a whole nother thing. What you just said, when a guy says, "I don't want to be in Philadelphia," I mean, you're not that good to begin with. And all of a sudden to make a demand that, "Well, I don't want to be in Philadelphia." What other team do you want to go and screw up?
You just don't.
Who are you and I know this whole thing about LeBron James being able to say, I can pick and choose where I want to go. But for you as a player, a marginal player, to say, "Look, I don't want to be here," what does that mean? Where does that come from?
It just questions what your approach is to the game.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so much has been given to him at a very early age that he feels like he can say, "Well, I don't want to be here."
Because in this rookie season, he probably lost more games he ever did in his entire life. And
well, fix it. Make it better.
They have the potential.
Make it better.
Guys gotta
if you're that good, make your team better. Don't just cash out and go somewhere else and say, "I want to go to another team." And then all of a sudden, if they're good because they've got some other good players, you want the credit to be given to you because you came to that team. Make your team better.
And he has the potential to
make your team better. If you play there for 12 years and you don't make them better, you can't point to anybody but yourself. And to me, that's the knock on DeMarcus Cousins. Everybody talks about he's the best big man in the league. If he's the best big man in the league, make your team better. Your team hasn't been to the playoffs under your watch. How are you the best big man in the league? Kobe Bryant was the best 2 guard in the league for a long time. His team got in. They vied for championships. LeBron James, the best player. His teams vie for championships. They're in there. If you're considered the best, show us. Don't just compile some numbers. Show us.
This year will have to be a proving point. If the Pelicans don't get in, we're going to have to point to him as a problem. Because
we got to point to somebody as a problem.
There were games that I watched him play, and they were winning by at least 6 points with like 3 or 4 minutes left, and he'll step back and shoot a 3 or try to shoot out the perimeter. And then sometimes he'll get a technical foul, and that kind of just throws the rhythm off everybody.
And he has that talent to shoot from the outside. He does have it. He's a very decent outside shooter. He can play inside. He can take the ball off the floor. But because you can do those things doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
You know, get down and do what you do best. Right, exactly.
And, you got to control his attitude, because when he had those temper tantrums, it kind of demoralized the entire team. Like you play in the NBA.
Yes. You take the wind out of your team.
And something happens, and it's just like, oh, guys, like how players used to get on John Starks with the Knicks.
Exactly. You have to settle them down.
Like Oakley, Mason, Pat Ewing would get in his face like, "Come on, we need you."
Yep.
And that's
can't check out on us right now.
Yeah, that's his issue.
Yeah.
If he can manage his emotions, they'll definitely get in the playoffs. But he can't keep just being a detriment with his attitude.
I agree. I completely agree.
With the East thing, we gotta go back to Philadelphia. The team is just too clustered. Like you have Embiid.
I'll say I think it's by design though. I'll say that because Brett Brown, their head coach, cut from that George Popovich San Antonio cloth where they want to be 2 deep, possibly 3 deep at some positions, because they want to have an offense that moves and cycles the basketball, and you want to be able to have guys on the perimeter that play multiple positions. They have that right now. They have that. Now it's a matter of putting it out on the floor and making it work. But I think, like you said, they're stockpiled at a couple of positions, but I think it's by design.
Could look at it with the draft.
Right.
Drafting a whole bunch of big guys. I'm like, what is going on? But he might be onto something.
Yeah, I think it's by design.
Because of the trust the process slogan. Remember when they had Tony Roden there?
Yes.
And they had a whole bunch of guys I never even heard of.
They had a whole lot of guys that were there for 1 year or two. But remember in Philadelphia, they let their #1 pick.
Oh, Nerlens Noel?
No, but they let him go too. But the guy before, Michael Carter,
Yeah.
he was their #1 pick.
Yeah.
And they waited on him for 2 years and shipped him out. So, but I like that. I like the fact that, hey, if this guy's not working out for you, I don't care if he's a #1 pick or not.
Yeah, get him out of here.
Gotta go.
They're doing it, which is it's a great story for them because Robert Covington is a hero of the guy I never heard of before.
Okay.
He's like one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Can't really shoot that good.
Sort of like an Andre Roberson with or Oklahoma City.
Yeah. At least he can take a shot. This
Right.
guy is scared to shoot the ball.
Wow, that's gonna be trouble.
No, Roberson. What's it? Roberson?
Yeah,
Roberson?
Andre Roberson.
Yeah, scared to shoot. But this guy, he'll shoot, but he shoots
Yeah,
like
but Andre Roberson got rewarded for his defensive prowess this year. He got a nice contract.
penny.
Yes, he got a nice contract.
Oh, yeah. The East is going to be interesting. There's some teams I want to see. What did you think about our Pistons?
I thought they made some improvements. I think they're going to have to get better. They can't depend on, because I've heard some people say, wow, the Pistons just made a move upward simply because Indiana won't be as good without Paul George. Well, that's not a credit to the Pistons. That's a credit to, or discredit to the Indiana Pacers. So does that mean that the Pistons got better because the Indiana Pacers got worse? No, probably not. So you have to look at the Pistons for what they are and say, did they get better? Well, they lost Marcus Morris. Now, that's a huge part of their identity defensively. But you added Avery Bradley at your 2 position. And what your hope is that he's going to rub off on Stanley Johnson, who had a very subpar year last year. But they understand he can play. He's very gifted, very talented, Stanley Johnson is. So if you can couple those 2 together to play that position, you're going to be very solid at the 2 spot defensively. You're going to be very solid if you can get those 2 guys to platoon and play that 2 guard by committee. That position will be locked up. You got a very good point guard in Reggie Jackson if you can keep him healthy. And you got Ish Smith coming off the bench. I really like what he's been able to do. Keeps the team moving. John Lure, Tobias Harris at the small forward or power forward position is going to be intriguing. Last year, Tobias came off the bench for a few games. There was some back and forth between John Lure and Stan Van Gundy. Really couldn't put his finger on how to really make that team go with either lineup. But both guys had some success, but I think John Lure had the most success as a starter. Tobias Harris, it really didn't make him any difference whether he was starting or coming off the bench. He gave you some production. So I would look for John Lure possibly to start the season and see what happens from there.
Would you put Tobias at the 3? Because I have a thing against tweeners. Like I'm kind of biased towards guys who don't know what they're shooting for or power forward.
Well, I think Jalen Rose said this, and he always says it. There's some guys that you put numbers on guys because that helps the people that really don't understand basketball. Well, he's a 1, he's a 2, he's a 3. Well, Tobias Harris is a very good basketball player. I think you can put him in a variety of situations. He can play multiple positions on the floor. So I wouldn't just box him into saying he's a small forward. Depending on the lineup, he can play at different areas on the floor.
Same thing. You was drafted, you can't start playing with shooting guard.
Right. So I think you got to put. I mean, you look at Golden State. Is Draymond Green the traditional center, traditional power forward? Probably not. So and even Kevin Durant, he's a 2 guard sometimes at 6'11". When does that happen? So you put your best players on the floor and don't necessarily give them a position. You go out there and create an offense that gives your best offensive and defensive players, your best group of guys, an opportunity to be successful.
Yeah, I will have him start at 3. I love his work ethic. This is one thing you can't knock because this guy is dedicated to being in the gym.
Exactly.
And he wants to excel at getting better, and he's going to do that. Pistons, I love.
What's going to happen with Andre Drummond? What do you need if you're looking on the outside looking in? What do you need from a fan perspective? What do you need from him?
Improve at the free throw line and stop getting in foul trouble.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's what his biggest detriment this past season was, him inability to knock free throws down and stay out of foul trouble.
Can he do that from one summer to the next, or one season to the next? How hopeful, how optimistic are you that he's improved his free throw shooting that dramatically?
Put a gun to my head right now. I tell you.
Okay, and your basketball acumen. Can a player who has suffered from the free throw line like he has, can he get better in an off season?
Slightly.
Slightly.
Yes.
So if he got better slightly, you're okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. So, because I don't think he shot 50% last year. So if he can get to 50% or just below that, would you take that?
Improvement from last year.
It's an improvement. Exactly. That's what you have to look at it. Is it an improvement?
Okay, here's one thing. I want to get your take on this. Because there are a lot of guys that I know that will say Drummond, like Howard, there's no place for him in the game now because a lot of big men can shoot now, and he's just a guy that could just back to basket hook shot.
Right.
So you think that kind of impacted his trade market last year? Or?
I don't think so, and that's a very good point. But then I look at somebody like Greg Monroe with the Milwaukee Bucks who had some success there. They found a way to utilize his skill set. Now, it really depends on, the coach and your system, because Greg Monroe, when he first got to Milwaukee, was a starter.
Mm-hmm.
But then they started to move the ball up and down the floor so quickly, and they were taking quick shots that it really took him out of the game. Yeah. So now Jason Kidd had a dilemma on his hands. How am I going to get the best out of this guy that I just signed? So, okay, I'll tell you what, this is not a demotion, per se, to Greg Monroe, but we're going to bring you off the bench. Because now in that second unit, we don't have to run up and down the floor. We can slow the ball down. So we're going to give our opponent two different looks. The first group, they're going to be out there and they're going to play in transition quite a bit. The second group, we're going to slow it down and pound it in to what we think is one of the best big guys that play in the game right now.
Yeah.
So now you got two different ways to attack your opponent. The second group comes in, he gets a lot of touches, he can score, he's very effective in the low block. So now he gets his touches.
The Pistons, sometimes I wonder if Stan Van Gundy's the guy. Remember he was in Orlando. It's the same, he's trying to equate the same thing from Orlando here.
Right.
He's supposed to be the Dwight, how Dwight Howard was in 08, 09. Then you have Turk Lue or Rashard Lewis can always stretch out.
Yeah, but and I think for a minute that worked, but he didn't have the. You think about this early on. Jody Meeks was supposed to be a good shooter, never could stay healthy.
Yeah.
Contavious Caldwell-Pope.
He has his moments.
He's had his moments where he's very good. Stanley Johnson had a very good first year, but second year really didn't stay consistent with his perimeter shooting. So Stan Van Gundy has never really had the outside shooting that he needed to make that happen. So he's had to kind of reorganize some things and maybe go in a different direction. But by no means, because of that, do you take a guy of Andre Drummond's talent and say, listen, we got to put you on the back burner because we want to do something else. You got to find a way to incorporate something while he's on the floor. He's just too good. He's too active.
Plus Reggie Jackson's injury in his absence kind of really.
Right, that slowed a lot of things down.
At a pick and roll.
Yes, that slowed a lot of things
down. If he can stay healthy, I think he's the prime factor of their success. I like us going this year. I don't expect us to go far. I mean, I'm just being a realist.
But you do expect the Pistons to make the playoffs. Okay, and do you, at this point, feel like they have improved?
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think, as we move into getting ready to move into training camp, are they done with their business of filling the roster? Or do you think there's some other moves imminent?
I would like to see them add one more piece, but there's nobody.
Any piece or just a particular position?
At a particular shooting guard.
Shooting guard, okay.
I don't want to do the small ball. We're having Langston Galloway. Okay. I like him.
Sure.
I feel like he's a point guard, and I like Ish Smith. But he can shoot.
Yep, he can shoot.
Especially from beyond the arc. I'm set, because there are some guys that I would have wanted, like Gerald Henderson, but he's out for the year because he's a veteran guy.
Yeah.
I'm set.
Off the beaten path. Patrick Ewing goes to be the head coach at Georgetown University, how do you think he'll do?
It's gonna be a couple years, but I think they'll be okay.
He'll restore that Georgetown roar? I think so too. I think I like Patrick Ewing.
I like what he's doing, especially with Chris Mullin with St. John's. They're recruiting a nice set of guys. One they had last year, I watched Shamari Pons. He's a point guard.
Okay.
I think he's one of the 5 girls in New York. So he's really good. And he'll be a sophomore this year.
Okay.
They could possibly sneak in there.
Yeah, I'm like you said, it's going to be a couple of years, but I think he's the guy for that job. He can bring it back. And I mean, if I'm a player, if I'm a high school guy, and Patrick Ewing comes to my house saying, "Hey, you want to go to Georgetown?" I'm going.
You want to play for a legend.
I'm going, and I'm going probably over Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. I'm going over Coach K or Coach anybody at North Carolina. I'm going. If Patrick Ewing is sitting in my living room telling me that he wants me to come to Georgetown as a big guy, particularly, I'm going.
All right, before we get out of here, let's do our prediction quickly. All right.
Let's do it.
NBA Finals matchup and outcome.
I will say I'd be very surprised if Golden State's not there. Matter of fact, I'll say that they're going to be there. In the Eastern Conference, I don't know. Because there's so much that's unknown. We don't know just how well the Cavaliers will gel. Obviously, with LeBron, you give them a nod, but you just don't know how they're going to gel and how healthy Isaiah Thomas will come back from his hip injury. That's going to weigh a lot on the success of the Cavaliers. How quickly will the Boston Celtics and their new group gel? They've got some premier players. You bring in a guy with a strong personality like Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. You know, you better hope that works, you know, and very quickly, very early, or you could find yourself behind. Now, they'll have what it takes to make up those games if they finally get some type of chemistry, but if they start off in the hole because of their lack of chemistry, you know, you never know what can happen. So a lot of the unknowns, particularly with those two teams, Toronto's coming back with pretty much their same group, but was that good enough? You know, would they? I mean, they're going to win basketball games, but will they be good enough? And
yeah, it depends on the young guys.
Right,
right. Norman Powell.
So I don't know. Like, and that's the unknown in the Eastern Conference. Like I said, I'd be surprised if Golden State's not there, but you can put a handful of teams in a bag in the Eastern Conference. I say they have a unique possibility.
Yeah.
What about you?
Golden State definitely. I think Cleveland, between Cleveland and Boston. Just think the experience of LeBron and he's gonna be on the bench to prove where he can win without that guy.
Okay.
But the outcome is, I think it will be a clean sweep of Warriors.
So no matter who gets in the East, the championship will be back in the West once again.
Yeah, they'll cakewalk the finals.
Cakewalk?
I think
Wow.
I really don't see no team.
Now, do the not San Antonio, does the Golden State Warriors, do they have to stay healthy in order to do this? Can they lose anybody?
It depends on the. Well, then again, they proved they could do it without Curry their first.
Here's a question too, and I'll stop after this. Every time there's something that goes on with the Golden State Warriors regarding a trade, it's always Klay Thompson. Why is that? Why do they seem so adamant about moving him?
Because he's out of the star power, he's the last guy at the bottom of the totem pole. Wow. Talent-wise, but he's the contingent part of the defensive.
Yes.
Next to him, and see what he did to Kyrie the first 3 games.
Exactly.
He's not going nowhere.
You don't think so?
Nah.
So that's just rumor.
That's just rumor.
Okay. I think everybody thinks what you think. They think that or Golden State has put him at the bottom of the pecking order, so they think, hey, let's go after him because it's more apt to give him up than Steph or Kevin Durant or Draymond Green. He's probably the guy that if you're going to go after somebody, that would be the guy that they would let go.
But when his contract is up, I think they're going to be in a financial bind with everyone have to max out. So I don't. He'll stay there remaining in the contract. I got to see how the payroll goes up.
Yeah, well, they said Kevin Durant took less money in order to keep the team together. So
yeah,
let's see how that translates when he comes around.
Nah, I wouldn't get rid of him. I mean, you got something special going on.
Absolutely, and I think if you're their owner,
you have to make anything possible.
He's got the pockets. He got deep pockets to pay any type of fine the NBA may levy, luxury tax, whatever. He's got the money to do it.
And again, all these sponsors. And
in the interest of winning, you do it.
You do it because they got This is a dynasty in the making.
In the quote of one of my favorite owners, George Steinbrenner, winning is everything.
You have to keep the guys together.
Winning is everything.
Who's your rookie of the year?
That's gonna be a good question. I'm going with if he gets playing time. If he gets playing time, I'm going to look for Ben Simmons to get it. That's a surprise because remember he didn't play any last year, but he'll still be like Blake Griffin had an opportunity to be Rookie of the Year. I think Ben Simmons is going to surprise a lot of people.
Roll with his teammate Markelle.
Yeah,
you got the green light.
Yep. I think he's going to be that. He's got a lot to prove after missing a year. Not to mention now he missed a year. But he's been able to practice. He's been able to get that NBA schedule. He's been able to get that grind of the NBA. So he's going to come out better than a rookie would because he's got that under him now.
Here's one. Who's the player to look out for?
Player to look out for. That's a very good question. There's nobody on my radar right now that I'm just like anxious to see do something. Somebody's just going to have to emerge as that guy.
There's a guy who made some noise last year that I'm going to pick. I just want to see if he can elevate even higher. You know, he plays on a terrible team. Roll with Devin Booker.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great moment. He had a shining moment. But then I look at his body of work. You know, what? He had a shining moment.
Yeah. But now the NBA now is everybody loves the shooter. Like Steph Curry kind of like make everyone look at the shooting form of the game more than just.
Yeah, but Steph Curry, he's a shooter. He's the best shooter in the NBA that I've ever seen, bar none. He's the best that I've ever seen.
Was Drazen close?
No.
Because everyone's saying that.
Not even close. Not even close. So my point is, he's the best that I've ever seen. And he makes all those shots. But if his team's not winning, it's insignificant. It's insignificant. So your point to Devin Booker is, I don't care how good he shoots, how many points he scores, if they're not winning, it means nothing. It means nothing.
If we have this type of podcast in 4 years, then...
Right. I mean, if Booker's on Golden State and he's doing that, they'll be talking about how, great this guy is.
Since I picked this team to go to the playoffs for the Utah Jazz, Rodney Hood. I just want to see what he can do.
I like that.
Without Gordon Hayward.
I like that.
Can he fill up?
So,
Alec Burke was supposed to be the guy, but he's always injured.
That's right. What about Dante Exum? I mean, obviously he's to me he could be a guy to watch because he hasn't had a whole lot of playing time.
I just didn't like them getting Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, that's gotta be something. That's gonna be something. We failed to mention Phoenix when we talked about the Western Conference, but I mean I don't see where they fit in anyway. Yeah, I don't see where they fit.
I just don't. They have too many point guards. I like Raul Neto, and then you got Exum, but I would like Exum to get a start somewhere else because I don't think he'll ever crack the ceiling if he's in Utah. I just don't see it.
You don't see it.
Not there.
I tell you what, I had a couple of conversations with their coach, and his name slips me right now, but I've had a couple of conversations with him, and he really, really, really likes Dante Exum. He's really high on him.
I would like to see him get traded somewhere, like Orlando or something.
They definitely get some playing time there.
I like Elfrid Payton, but
you like Alfred?
I like him, but as of the guy to be that centerpiece for a franchise, he's not that guy. I think Exum has a lot of ability, especially he's very athletic. He didn't show it after the ACL injury that if he can, work his tail off.
The other thing that's lost is the trade with Chris Paul going to Houston and Beverly going to the Clippers.
You heard him defensively. He's more of a physical defender than Paul. I kind of think this is where it's going to butt heads with Harden because Harden is not that defensive guy, and Paul is very vocal. If you're not
Chris Paul's not the defender either.
Not no more.
He used
to have fast hands. Yeah. Older.
He plays passing lanes, but it's all on the ball defense is not that good. Nothing to write home about. That's for sure. And then you couple that with Harden, his Olay defense. I don't know.
That's what I was telling you earlier. That's why I want them to get a younger guard. If they would have got a point guard, I'd rather them get someone that's somewhat off the ball point guard and to come off the bench that can score somewhat.
Right.
At first, I was kind of leaning for them to get Drew Holiday. Or Jeff Teague.
I like Jeff Teague a lot.
But like I said, we was talking about it earlier. You just don't know. They'll win some games, but I don't see them getting past a team like San Antonio. Plus, their inability in the postseason, like Harden.
Okay.
You never know, and Paul can never get past the second round. So
it's been his thorn in his side.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's gonna have to be up to the other guys like Eric Gordon or Ryan Anderson if they can stay healthy.
And again, that's always been a key for
Because I think he would have been a star by now if he didn't.
Gordon can stay healthy. He's always had
interest.
some potential, but he's never been able to do it.
It's gonna be an interesting NBA season. We might have to get together around All-Star break.
Let's do
We
it.
got to.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
so-
give the people what they want, man.
So hey, it was great.
Always
hanging out
good
with
to
you.
chop it up
It's
with you,
been 2
man.
years. We always stay in contact though. So.
That's right.
All
Give
right.
the people what they want.
And the predictions stand. We don't have to bet like dinner or something.
Okay, okay. Well, we agreed that Golden State would be there. Whoever else
For
is
the
there.
Minnesota.
Minnesota is definitely not getting in.
Over 47 wins.
No way.
I'm calling it right now.
No way.
All right.
No way.
All right. I'm Mace Berry. It's my guy Graham Long. We signing out.
We out.